Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Steve with Sensus Fidelium coming at you on a Monday, October 20th, 2025, 9:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen, for Black Pill Monday. It won't be as black, I guess. It's not that bad. It's bad. It won't be as bad, I guess. Anyway, I hope you all had a good weekend. How was your weekend? Tell me put in the chat if the live streamers are usual in here. Tell me how your weekend was. On Sundays, I don't touch this thing, so I have no clue what happens on Sundays until late Sunday night when I'm clearing out all the notifications, because I usually don't touch the cell at all. Emails, all that. Usually Mondays is just clearing out hundreds of junk mail, because again, I don't touch it on there, so everything's just clogged up on Monday. Monday's like get back into some kind of get back into line almost, get caught back up. Anyway, let's get right to it. The Babylon Bee. How long, O Lord, will the wicked prosper? Nation asks about the Dodgers advance to the World Series. They beat the Milwaukee Brewers, who had the best record in baseball. They were up 3-0 when I last saw. I have no idea if they won. They did a sweep, or if the Brewers made it even close, anything like that. My Reds got skunked by them right out of the gate. So anyway, you didn't come here for baseball news. In local news, South Carolina schedules execution for a man who taunted police with messages in victims' blood. It's when you know you guys get creative. Columbia, South Kakalaki, a South Carolina inmate who killed a man, burnt his eyes with cigarettes, and then painted "Catch Me If You Can" on the wall with the victim's blood more than 20 years ago, had been scheduled to be executed last month. The state Supreme Court issued the death warrant Friday for Stephen Bryant, 44. The court denied a request for Bryant's lawyers, who asked for a delay because they work with the federal court system and the U.S. government is shut down. Bryant is to be put to death November 14th for one killing. Prosecutors said he also shot and killed two other men he was giving rides to as they were relieving themselves on the side of the road during a few weeks that terrorized Sumter County in October 2004. Bryant will be the 50th person executed in South Kakalaki since the state restarted the death penalty in 1985, and the seventh inmate to be put to death in less than 14 months since the state was able to obtain a drug and lethal injection and reopen the death chamber for the unintentional 13-year pause. Taunts written in blood on the wall. Bryant admitted to killing Willard T.J. Tatjan after stopping by his secluded home in rural Sumter County and saying he had car trouble. Tatum was shot several times. Candles were lit around his body. Someone took a pot holder made by his daughter when she was a child, dipped the corner in blood, and wrote "Victim 4 in 2 weeks. Catch me if you can." I wonder if he spelled it victim with an E like it has on here. On the wall, authorities said. The daughter called him several times, getting more worried when he didn't answer. On the sixth call, she testified a strange voice answered. The person on the other end told her she had the right number. Then she demanded to speak to her father. And he said, "You can't. I killed him." And I said, "This isn't funny. Who are you?" He said, "I am the Prowler." And I said, "Excuse me, who are you?" And he said, "I am the Prowler." Kimberly Dees testified before the judge who determined Bryant's sentence. That was I've heard some weird stories. When I was working for Upstate Warriors, I had before one of my roles was twice a week I'd go into the detention centers, see who was incarcerated, if they needed a DD-214, if they had their DD-214s, if they needed anything like lawyer or whatever, we'd get them hooked up. And before then, we had to go through this kind of like an initiation type deal, orientation. And the deputy was telling me about this is one time it was in Colombia. It was a serial killer. And it was a Bank of America. The guy got caught. It was a Bank of America higher up. And they caught him because what the guy was doing was picking women off the street and killing them and then cutting their toes off or something like that. So they found a toe in the toilet one time. They let it, and they ended up tracing it back to this guy. And I'm sitting there going, great googly moogly. What? That's something you read in an E. Michael Jones book. It literally was something like that in Libido Dominandi. You ever read that book? Great book. I listened to that in real life. Something that happened from it. It wasn't in that book, but it could have been. A little bit closer to where I'm at right now. South Carolina is my home state, my home state. North Carolina is where I'm at now. A 15-year-old in North Kakalaki had been arrested for his 111th time. Yes, you read that right. The boy has been arrested 111 times since August of 2023, averaging one arrest every 4 days. I jokingly said this guy just, he's a repeat offender. 111 times. For some reason, everyone and their sister is posting Happy Diwali Day, whatever. There's something Hindu, something, a festival of lights. Cash Patel was the first I saw that did it. Bree caught my eye when she retweeted about it because I was like, what is this Diwali thing? So Cash had to be talking about it. And then Tulsi was putting it up. Heartfelt wishes to everyone who's celebrating Diwali. Notice Tulsi and others have no problem talking about God at TPUSA. But when Diwali comes up or anything else, we got to cater to the weirdos. I mean, this is a Hindu demon. It's a fake god. Who else was doing it? Gruesome Cook. I don't know who Varan is. Here's Cash Patel. Governor Abbas of Texas. The governor, he had to go out of his way. That's the Catholic governor of Texas. Did he actually dress up like a Hindu? Let's see who else. Governor Gruesome Newsom. FC Bayer. This is the football club, obviously. Football club Bayer. I'm just going through. It wasn't just Cash. A lot of people. Manchester City. It was literally a joke at one point. I was just going through. Who else is talking about? Mayor Eric Adams, New York City. Yes, the mayor of New York City. Yeah, everyone was bending over backwards to wish. This is the first I've ever heard of Happy Diwali. But it's just interesting that all these guys, the same, they all have the 4x4, 4x5 card, the 3x5 card. They all have to say the same thing. And even the ones who are like, we got a Christianity comeback coming because of TPUSA, immediately jettison all that because it's politics to do the Happy Diwali thing. In real religion, meet the seven saints. Pope Leo XIV canonized yesterday, October 19th. And I didn't go through the whole list and I know who they are, but I know now Saint Bartolo Longo. He's a fantastic story. If you even made the front page of a lot of Washington Post, I think had it, talk about Leo canonized a former Satanist. And the stuff like that will bring other people like, what in the world? It'll bring in to ask, who is this guy? Great story. Our Lady of Pompeii connection, the rosary. He was a fantastic first pick in the draft. It was a great pick by Leo to end up putting him in. Ignatius Maloyan, the Ottoman Empire, 1861, 1915. He was an Armenian Catholic Archbishop of Mardin in the Ottoman Empire who was executed during the Armenian genocide for refusal to convert to Islam and renounce his Christian faith. He will be canonized that too. Well, that's an awesome story. I have to look him up. June 10th, Turkish soldiers gathered 447 Armenians and took them to a deserted area. During the ordeal, the Archbishop encouraged those gathered to remain firm in their faith and prayed with them that they would accept martyrdom and courage. After a 2-hour talk, naked and chained, the prisoners were killed by the soldiers in front of Malawan. Beck once asked again the Archbishop to convert to Islam. He refused and was shot and killed by Beck on the Feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Before he was killed, Moylan said, I consider the shedding of my blood for my faith to be the sweetest desire of my heart, because I know perfectly well that I am tortured for love of him who died for me. I will be among those who will have joy and bliss, and I will have attained to see my Lord and my God up there. He was beatified by JP2 on October 7th. Great story, yeah. Peter Turat, Papua New Guinea. He was martyred during the Japanese occupation during World War II. Jose Gregorio Hernández, a Venezuelan physician, scientist, and layman who was revered as the doctor of the poor, was canonized. Let's see who else. Maria Troncati, the Italian Salesian sister, spent nearly 5 decades as a missionary in Ecuador's Amazon rainforest among the indigenous Shuar people. Let's see who else. Carmen Elena Martinez was born in Caracas without her left arm and was given a prosthetic arm that she used for her entire life. She found the servants of Jesus in Caracas and served as the superior general of the congregation. Vincenza Maria Paulina, an Italian religious sister, founded a congregation of the Sisters of Mercy in Verona to take care of the poor, sick, and elderly. I'll have to do more on that, but that a little good news. And again, some people would just get upset that any of the canonizations are always going to be picky. They're going to say after post-Vatican II, but according to Francis of Sales, Alphonsus, who else? Was it Thomas? They all said it's pretty much heresy if you don't believe in it's an infallible thing by the church. So St. Bartolo Longo, pray for us, definitely. But that's some cool stuff. It's feeling like an AI world, Steve. It is. Speaking of not AI, but a little bit on tech coming up here in the not so distant future. The recent video on hell. Was that you talking about the Alphonsus one? The Alphonsus sermon of the Sunday sermon? Or the one that came out today? The one this morning? That was pretty good. Yeah, that was. They both were good. I'm kind of biased. This government shutdown could be the longest ever, God willing, maybe running into Thanksgiving. That'd be given that. Hey, what are you thankful for? That the government is not on. Well, I mean, they're still killing people and taking our money. So technically, if they're still taking your money and killing others, they're still going. Yes, Christopher. Yeah, man. Today was that was a killer one. Yes, definitely. What might the economic damage be? Yeah, Father was it Perrion? I can't pronounce his name. He's been sending me stuff for the last few months, almost a year now. He's got a book out now as well. Dr. K's publishing company did it. They asked me to write a little thingamadoohickey in it. First time anybody's ever asked me to write something on it. Cool book. Check it out. It was Outage Press is Kwasniewski's press company, and I'll see if I can pull it up in the chat real quick. Press. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe I'll accidentally get it. There it is. Ost-Justi Press. There it is. I have to check out that one. The Cristero kind of. I'll have to see what that one's all about. Where's he at? Where we at? All titles. SLRs. There it is. Torches Against the Abyss. So if you want a book by the priest that did that this morning, it's in the chat right now. Now, today, we had a major cyber attack hitting most Amazon, AWS services. So if you like Venmo, for example, was pretty much nuked today, which affected a lot of people, barbers, hairdressers, bartenders, the gym I'm at, they use Venmo. Anything that uses Venmo was nuked today. No one could use that app, along with many others. So a lot of people couldn't use money. Hint, hint. Make sure you get paper currency in your pocket when stuff like that hits. China accuses U.S. of cyber attack on National Time Center. Beijing. China on Sunday accused the U.S. National Security Agency of carrying out cyber attacks on its National Time Center, saying that any damage to related facilities could have disrupted network communications, financial systems, and power supply. The Ministry of State Security alleged the U.S. agency had exploited vulnerabilities in the messaging services. Blah, 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 blah. Bing, bing, bing. Let's go ahead. AP, Amazon cloud outage takes down many online services around the world. A problem with Amazon's cloud computing service disrupted internet use around the world Monday, taking down a broad range of online services, including social media, gaming, food delivery, streaming, and financial platforms. The disruption of the ensuing expiration, it caused a service as the latest reminder of the 21st century society is increasingly dependent on technology that seems to work reliably until it suddenly breaks down like a jalopy on the side of the road. Again, this is like a little foreshadow of cyber polygon. Look that up if you don't know what that is. But it also shows how everyone's just all in on tech, and we don't know what to do without it. If an EMP did hit, and nobody can use Twitter, Facebook, or TikTok, you're going to have these millennials or whatever the group is after them on suicide watch. They won't know what to do. After about 3 hours after the outage began, AWS, Amazon Web Services, said it was starting to recover from the problem, although problems lingered for some users. AWS provides behind-the-scenes cloud computing infrastructure to some of the world's biggest organizations. See if they have the list. The cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase and Signal chat apps said both on X that they were experiencing issues related to the outage. Coinbase, somebody's been hacking that thing or something. There's a lot of people using that to fish for Coinbase. What else? Even Amazon's own services are not immune. Users of the company's Ring doorbell cameras and Alexa-powered smart speakers reported that they were not working. Glory be hallelujah. Anything that takes down the technocratic system, totally cool with. You telling me the Ring doorbells who are now spying on every human being that walks by them did not work? Skynet Alexa did not work today? Perish the thought. Sorry. Some people were not able to access their Amazon website or download books on their Kindle. Get the regular book. This is not the first time on them. Many experienced power outage in 2023. Payment apps, video streaming services. What else? Yeah, they say Amazon was having a tough time getting deliveries because of all this too. IDF launches new wave of airstrikes in Gaza, pummeling Hamas after attack on Israeli troops. Pummeling Hamas translating into pummeling the people of Gaza. Speaking of this, let's see what anti-war has. So with the War Pigs edition. Generals and their massive messes. Israel has killed 80 people in Gaza since the ceasefire. Remember, ceasefire does not mean end of war. Ceasefire just means we're ceasing fire. But no war. The war is not over. It's not over by a long shot. Israel massacres 11 Palestinian family members in Gaza. Shattering delusion. Appreciate that, man. Unlike others, you don't have to send me something to get a question. Just ask a question. But I appreciate the $5. It goes to our catch-up funding. Off the wall question here. Do we know if Saint Buddhist was Buddha? If true, then it seems to be suppressed in India and Eastern cults. Was that one of the guys that was in the thing? I wasn't one of the guys, right? No, wasn't on it. I'll have to look that up because I get the off the wall question. Would you say off the wall question? Yeah, off the wall. I'll have to look that up, dude. No, OT wasn't. I'll take a look. I have no idea. I've never heard the name before. I doubt it. Yeah. I mean, it could be Eastern. Is it an Eastern saint? Sorry, no worries. No, don't worry. You're fine. I like the questions. Throw me off. I can get back on. I can get back on the road. Take like an off ramp and come back on the on ramp. Not a big deal at all. I'll see if can I highlight that? No, I can't highlight that at all. I'll check. Email me Well, I won't cancel. I'll close it out. I'll see if I can get back on. Or if you want to email me anytime, it's steve@sensusfidelium.com. Ask me any question you want. Indian Martyr, I'll check it out. I'm open to look. I got tons of saints I like looking up anyways. So I have no problem looking up. That interests me. Kushner or Trump believes Israel is a little out of control. Another report, water is wet. U.S. journalist documents Israeli settler attack. IDF troops harass civilians in southern Syria. Trump urged Zelensky to accept Russian terms. Apparently, Trump got mad at him. U.S. bombs 7th boat in the Caribbean. We got more on that coming up soon. Another hunger kills 171 kids in Sudan's besieged El Fasar. Quote, we expected to die, freed Palestinian detainees, recount Israeli torture. You're not going to hear about that on Fox News or any of the cheerleaders posting that. Breaking news, Israel Prime Minister and war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed that he will run for re-election in November 2026, despite corruption charges. Hence why they were bombing the snot out of everyone in Palestine today. You want to know why he was doing that? We got to keep that war going, baby. I'm going to jail. Chris Menahan, talking about the 60 Minutes overtime interview with Kushner. Gaza looked like a nuclear bomb had been set off. CBS's Leslie Stahl. Would you say now, having been there, that it was genocide? And he says, no, wasn't genocide. We just carpet bombed and blew up the entire thing. It wasn't genocide at all. Christine Niles reposted, the truth is, the equivalent of 7 Hiroshima bombs have been dropped on Gaza, which is 2.5 times smaller than Hiroshima and more densely packed. Hiroshima, with a population of only 350,000 at the time, lost 70,000 instantly in the blast. When the smoke clears and the dust settles, it will be revealed that Gaza's death toll is far higher than what's been reported. Amen to that. Here are seconds after Israeli strikes smashes into central Gaza, smoke-filled streets, panic heard in voices. As Israel attacks Gaza again. This was on the 19th, yesterday. Smoke cloud from bombing spotted near Rafah. Israeli military media says IDF responding to Hamas RPG or EID attack. Here's Caitlin Johnstone. I'll make sure I don't read any wordy durs if she posted any of these. They said the massacres would stop when Hamas released the hostages. The massacres haven't stopped. Last year, I banged out an angry rant about the way Israel supporters would yell, release the hostages, at anyone who talked about the latest massacre of Palestinian civilians, saying Hamas was to blame for the killing because of their refusal to release the Israeli captives, and that it would all stop once the hostages are free. I'm remembering that essay today because the hostages are free, but the massacres are continuing. On Friday, Israel reportedly blew up a vehicle containing a Palestinian family of 11 people, including 7 children. The IDF gave its usual excuse for the massacre. The civilians were deemed to have crossed an invisible line into a forbidden zone, which made the Israeli soldiers feel unsafe. They did the exact same thing they constantly during the last ceasefire as well. In my polemic last year, I argued that the slaughter we were seeing in Gaza plainly had nothing to do with the pushing for the release of Israeli hostages, and that even if it did, it would still be barbaric to massacre children until your enemies caved to your demands. The 2 years of genocide have made it clear that the Israeli military was never killing Palestinian civilians in order to push for the release of hostages or force Hamas to cave to their demands. The Israeli military kills Palestinian civilians, in order to kill Palestinian civilians. The killing is the goal, and it always has been, and probably always will be. And now we are seeing Israel is killing people because Hamas has Israeli hostages. Narrative debunked in exactly the same way as the Israel keeps bombing hospitals because there are Hamas bases in all of them. Narrative. The hostages are free, but the massacres continue. And here's why. There's the link or the front of it. Why Israeli supporters? What Israeli supporters really mean when they say release the hostages? They blame Hamas. They don't get a ceasefire. All that stuff. There's a solid article by Derek Bros on the technocratic Trump administration, the public-private partnership. Trump's return to the White House has seen him partner with a number of technocrats on public-private partnership, setting the stage for the incoming technocratic surveillance state. Bannon later expanded the statements on an interview in PBS show Frontline, saying every day we hit them with three things. They'll bite on one. We'll get all of the staff done. Bang, bang, bang. These guys will never be able to recover. Corvallis, private, public. This is all part of the Great Reset. You didn't know that if you didn't hear about public-private relationships, all this. The approach can be traced back to Benito Mussolini, the Italian fascist director who led Italy from 22 to 1943. The first sign that Trump was pursuing a corporate strategy came in late August with the announcement that the U.S. would purchase a 9.9% stake in Intel. The U.S. will pay $8.9 billion to Intel in exchange. This was not the first deal of its kind made under the Trump admin. A few weeks earlier, the Pentagram and MP Materials announced a transformational public-private partnership that will see the DoD become the largest shareholder of in rare earth minerals or the miner MP Materials after agreeing to buy $400 million of its stock. Following the Intel deal, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the U.S. is considering taking equity stakes in military-industrial complex contractors like Lockheed Martin. While speaking to CNBC, Lutnick was asked whether the Trump administration is considering buying stock in Lockheed, Boeing, or Palantir Tech. Quote, they're thinking about it. There's a lot of talking that needs to be had about how do we finance our munitions acquisitions. There is a monstrous discussion about defense. Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the United States government. They are basically an arm of the U.S. government. Most recently, in early October, Trump announced $35.6 million partnership with Trilogy Metals. You just can't be against socialism when the left does it. If you're not against socialism overall, guess what? You're going against socialism, Erickson said. So if you support socialism, apparently Donald Trump is your guy. Trump actions been criticized by some American conservatives, including radio host Eric Erickson. What else? There's a couple of nice, good ones in here that I saw before. Something about Israel was in this, I thought. Anyway, decent good article. It shows you a little bit. If you want to show your normie friends about how some of this goes on. Yeah, during the height of 2007, 2008, the U.S. government under Presidents Bush and Obama took partial control of General Motors, hence Government Motors, Citigroup, and AIG in an attempt to prevent the companies from collapsing. Too big to fail. Where else? Thought that was. Thought there was a little bit more, but maybe I was wrong. Okay. Meet the young Americans who want a monarchy, but not King Trump. While millions of protesters took to the streets in fear of the future of the republic, a growing fringe says it's time for an absolute monarchy. Now, if you heard about the I'm sure you know about the No Kings March. If I didn't have internet, if I didn't have Twitter, I would not have known about it because I didn't know about it around area. And all the, I guess you say one side was upset about the other. Now, and they've made the fake right accept a president that is buying up, like we just read about, kind of like what was like a fascist idea of buying up private entities for the government. Murder. I mean, how many boats have been destroyed in the Caribbean? Ethnic cleansing, illegal wars. What else? Massive debt. Lying to you all the time. Oh, we're protecting a pedophile, Epstein. What else? Unchartered, power takeover. all because there's a red hat. So that's why they're doing no kings. And that you're pretty much, and then you had some quote unquote conservatives putting, making memes of him wearing a crown. They actually want him to do this. They might say, oh, no, that was just, no, they want him to do this because he doesn't have the power to do any of this junk. He has very limited power. Really, look at the Constitution, what the powers that the president has. Pretty much the only thing he has is be able to write, affirm, or veto a bill that goes around. He's supposed to execute constitutional laws that are come out from Congress. He's not supposed to write laws. He's supposed to say, is this constitutional or is it not? That's it. And commander-in-chief of the military, after Congress has declared a war, not him. He's supposed to get authority to do it. He can't do jack. He's pretty much just the figurehead. But no, we've made him, as the anti-federalists have warned long ago, into an elected monarch. Patrick Henry thought the powers of a king. Now, is the No Kings group perfect? No. Where were they at during Obama days? Where were they at during Brandon days? I'll go out and say, hey, you guys want to elect the king? Let me know. Now, some of the guys, if you want a monarchy in one area of the states, go for it. Georgia, Florida, wherever. I'm fine with that. You don't want a monarchy for the entire continent, one. Hence the Red Republicans video I put out last was a Saturday. Listen to that. You can't, it's ungovernable if you have it that way. That's why Germany had 25 states. That's why if you look at Spain back in the day, the King of Seville wasn't the King of Spain, the King of Seville. And there was also kingdoms all over Spain. The king of the Italian kingdoms, many different ones. They were not centralized where you had one prime minister for the entire land. They were broken up, decentralized. And it was after the 19th century nationalistic movement, we got rid of all that and centralized all this stuff. That's the bad. That's when you bad stuff. You get what you have, and you don't have centralization. You don't have the 19th century centralization. You don't have Hitler in the 1900s. You don't have Stalin. Well, maybe you do get Stalin because Russia wasn't the same. You don't get Adolf. You might get Stalin, though, but you get rid of that centralization thing. That and communism needs centralization. They work hand in hand on that. How Huntington Beach became California's angriest MAGA city. The coastal community used to be an idiot, Surf City, USA. What happened? I don't know. Former Ronald Reagan famously called Orange County an affluent Southern California community, a place where good Republicans go to die. He meant it as a compliment, a reflection of the area's foundational conservative values. Yet in recent years, Huntington Beach, the country's hippie backside surfer haven, has drawn national attention for leaning dramatically further to the right. The conservative majority city council representing 200,000 residents have pushed right-leaning policies into action, sometimes directly in response to more progressive policies statewide. Hey, Huntington Beach want to do what Huntington Beach does, go for it. If another beach want to do something else, go for it. It's called federalism, and on top of that, I'm for decentralization of the states too. Breaky speculation is swirling on Virginia governor candidate Abigail Spanberger, Democrat, she's in blue, is panicking that her internal polling shows the race with Winsome Sears, the lady in red, much closer than expected after she announced an 11-day barnstorm across the state. Apparently, Obama's looking to back her up. And the joke is Obama's backing the whitey up and throwing the black lady in the ground because the white lady wants to kill babies. Privileged Serena Williams gets triggered by a cotton plant in a 5-star hotel. And this came out a couple of days. This was last month. Towards the end of last month. Here's the video of it. Apparently she's walking in a hotel and you've seen these all over the place before. It's just a little cotton plant, nothing big. So she has to react to a cotton plant. And somebody drove by a cotton field in Alabama and yelling, "Hey, this is for you, Serena." Because one of the things that somebody they weren't sure if she was upset because she got triggered because it brought back cotton. Yeah, because Megan Kelly spoke about it. She goes something about slaves, and I wrote Megan, tagged Megan in it. She says, "You know who else picked cotton? White people. Not everyone owned slaves, so white people, plenty of them, many of them. The majority of the South was picking cotton too." In some reports, if you look up Jeb Smith's book on defending Dixie, the both races worked together on the cotton fields. So it wasn't just one. Sometimes it was, but it wasn't just one. Afghanistan withdraws from tri-series involving Pakistan as deadly airstrikes killed 3 cricketers. Baby found abandoned on train platform in New York Penn Station. The baby was conscious. The baby was conscious and alert after being found on the southbound platform on 34th Street, police said, but it was taken to Bellevue Hospital to be evaluated. Appeals court lets Trump deploy Oregon National Guard to Portland. So a federal appeals court on Monday cleared the way for once and future King President DJT to mobilize and deploy members of the Oregon National Guard to Portland while the legal challenge moves forward. Trump's private blow-up with Zelensky, the Z-Man, revealed. Another meme between once and future King President DJT and actor, comedian, President Vladimir Zelensky has reportedly ended with a fiery shouting match, this time behind closed doors. Trump was pressuring Ukrainian counterpart to accept Russia's terms for a ceasefire during an explosive White House meeting on Friday, according to the Financial Times, reportedly telling Zelensky that Russia would destroy Ukraine if he didn't agree. He could have done that a long time ago. D.C. woman sued to stop neighbor from smoking weed in his own home after complaining of feces odor and won. An elderly woman just scored a landmark court win against her neighbor that forces him to stop smoking weed in his own home. Josepha Shepard, 76, of Washington, D.C., said the feces or skunk smelling and emanating from 73-year-old next-door resident Thomas Cackett's doorway made her dread coming home. She even said she once vomited when her neighbor, who lives on the ground level of an adjoining home, lit up. Okay. Now, I'm not for pot smoke at all, but to get it banned from the guy doing it in his own home, that's next level. Supreme Court will consider whether people who regularly smoke pot can legally own guns. Now, I talked to my favorite gun expert because I am not that, Rick Barrett, and I asked him, what about this? Is there an asterisk in 2A? And he said it will depend on how they interpret the Buren, B-U-R-E-N, decision, whether there was something on the books at the writing of the 2A that would forbid people who use cannabis from owning guns. Here's Mila Joy. Gal got arrested for refusing to remove her mask at No Kings protest in Savannah, Georgia. Why would she need a mask? Because she's up to no good. Have you seen ICE before? What does ICE members do? They are all masked up. And by the way, you remember back in 2020, 2021 years, people were being arrested for not having a mask on? It's the same thing. The Democrats using on that, Republicans doing this, but we're ICE. As long as if you're ICE, you can wear a mask all day long. No big deal. Here's U.S. Homeland Security news update. Colombian president claims one of the narco boats destroyed by the U.S. Naval Task Force was just a poor Colombian fisherman. And the things is, does this look like a poor fisher boat? It looks like he had tons of bait. Cocaine attracts lots of fish. They took it away. They got blistered on this because if you look here on the context part, the photo is from a drug bust that occurred in 2024. Zero ties to the current situation. Photo was taken from a video attached to the article below. Here's the article. There's the article. There's the boat. Homeland Security got caught lying. Here's a 15-year-old autistic boy went missing this week. He was selling fruit with his family in Springbrook Branch when he disappeared. They filed a missing persons report and begged the public to help them. He was in a Houston ICE detention facility. They kidnapped a disabled kid. 15-year-old boy went missing October 4th. Law enforcement found him. Family undocumented, ICE detention. Okay, understand the undocumented part. Again, the humanity part comes in. Do you take a kid with autism and throw him behind bars and not tell anybody about it? 15-year-old autistic kid named Emmanuel Garcia. Here's the same guy, just his mom is pleading for his return. The police chief is blaming the child, saying he gave them incorrect information and casting doubt on whether he's actually autistic because he was able to communicate. Senator Merkley slams constitutional infringement, cites wag the dog. Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley delivered a scathing speech from the Senate floor about the Trump administration's deployment of the National Guard against Portland residents. Now, sure, is he coming from a political different slant? Yes. Is he right? Is he wrong? I got the speech here if you want to look at it. It's 19 minutes long. And it talks about how it's mostly this stuff is about a bunch of fake stuff that they're coming up creating they're creating a fake war. That's wag the dog in a sense. And I can remember I told you about me watching it was the news. They had the news on at the gym one time, and it was Fox, and it was in Chicago. And it looked like the camera started a little too early because everyone, right when the camera went on, go, all right, let's put our face mask on right down the row. Action. And then everybody went up. You saw people walking up and down. Nothing happened until that camera, they flipped over. This gets into the John Bolton thing. Why did Trump hire John Bolton in the first place? Because that's what Israeli agent Sheldon Adelson wanted. This comes from this link right here. Low blog. It was back in 2018. And who is Sheldon? The late husband of Miriam Adelson, billionaire, gave $100 million to Trump to destroy Gaza. Here's there you have it. John Bolton not booked into jail despite being charged with major federal felonies. They are playing you. Do you get it? They did the thing. They went through it. Nothing was on. Didn't even go to jail. Didn't spend anything. If you look in I don't have the link, but if you look into what the reports are, everything was on the up and up. There was nothing that was a problem. This is just for show. And I'm not a Bolton. You ask anybody. I dislike that man. He's a horrible guy. He hasn't met a bomb he hasn't wanted to drop on anybody. But is this what's going on? Pure distraction. It's a TV drama. This is a U.S. citizen in Alabama who was detained by ICE twice after they raided the construction sites he was working on. Notice the ICE guys were muzzled up. Both times, officers initially refused to believe that his real ID was valid and handcuffed him and detained him while they double-checked. As the ICE to the U.S. citizen, don't make this complicated. Get on the ground. Bondi labels Antifa no different than MS-13 gang and tells Americans to check with MAGA influencers to back up her claims. Great. Now the entire administration is using Twitter to get your information. Talk with all the influencers that we paid for, who have been threatened and beat up and their lives threatened with Antifa members. I don't believe any of the guys. By the way, when another team comes in, they'll do this to MAGA people. They're going to say MAGA is the terrorist group. Don't worry. It goes back and forth. Colombia's leader accuses U.S. of murder, prompting Trump to halt aid. President Gustavo Petro said the U.S. strike on the Caribbean had killed a fisherman. Once the future king, President DJT, said he would cut aid and impose new tariffs on Colombian imports. So the U.S. drops bombs on fishermen because that was the whole thing. They're giving the two guys that survived, they're giving them back. Because you're like, wait a minute, if these guys they're terrorists or whatever they're saying they are, why are you giving them back? Because they weren't terrorists. They're killing regular people. And so Trump instead of apologizing, my bad, says we're going to put tariffs on you. Okay. Here's a Max Blumenthal. This is a titanic crime by the U.S. regime. Innocent people are being massacred in the Caribbean to satisfy the maniacal bloodlust of Rubio and the Gusano industrial complex. Full report, Colombian public media reports that U.S. military strike on a boat on September 15th. The second attack on a vessel in the U.S. and the Caribbean that we're aware of was a Colombia boat and was in Colombian territorial waters. At least one of the three victims extrajudiciary killed in the strike was Colombian lifelong fisherman Alejandro Caranas. Alejandro's identity is confirmed by his cousin. The Colombian boat was adrift and had its distress signal up due to an engine failure. Quote, that means it was in damage and a state of emergency, which according to international law means that if a boat is in a state of emergency and adrift, it is necessary to go to its aid and help it. What did the U.S. government do? It dropped a bomb on it. The boat hit. Okay, it's all the same thing. 200 miles. The boat was in Colombian waters. Do you think that happened in waters? Indeed, it had to be Colombian waters off there. Passionate about the sea. Man, it's just getting nuts. And you got people defending this stuff. Blindness cured with revolutionary bionic chip. Electronic implant restores sight to patients with age-related condition, heralding new era for artificial vision. Oversharing with AI. How your chat GPT conversations could be used against you. People are treating AI chatbots as advisors, confidants, and even accomplices, writes Anthony Cumberson. With no legal protections, the predatory actors looking to monetize and exploit this new trove of deeply intimate data, a new tech reckoning has arrived. Utah County prepares for a trial of Charlie Kirk murder suspect. Local leaders deal with extra costs, national security, and complaints over spending taxpayer money on defense lawyers for the alleged shooter. By the way, he has still not admitted that he had done any of this. Peanut allergies have plummeted in children, study shows. I wonder what could have changed. Maybe less of some kind of injection or something. Restaurants are pitching water as a fine dining experience. Menus highlight provenance and traits like acidity, minerality, and sweetness. No ice or lemon allowed. In this day in history, let's go with 1973 opening of the Sydney Opera House. 2020, NASA's Osiris-REx collected a sample of rock and dust from an asteroid Bennu. First time a U.S. spacecraft done so since Bruce Willis made it up there with Ben Affleck. 2014, Dominican-born American fashion designer Oscar de la Renta died in Connecticut. 2011, Libyan de facto leader Muammar al-Gaddafi was killed by rebel forces following a revolt that ended his rule. 2002, Blue Stream, the deepest underwater pipeline in the world, opened in Turkey. I don't know how they put stuff down there like that. 1977, a plane carrying the southern rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd, known for songs like Free Bird and Sweet Home Alabama, crashed in Galesburg, Mississippi, killing singers Ronnie Van Zant and guitarist Steve Gaines, among others. 1970, one of my good friends back then, before I converted, he named his dog Skynyrd. He was a big Skynyrd fan. 1973, I still consider him a friend. He goes to these he used to go to these rock band things. I'm like, dude, you're so smart, you're so manly. Why do you go to these rock band church things? It's so bad. I ain't heard from him in quite some time. I think think it's because I told a friend of mine he wasn't Christian, even though he said he was. And he was banging he was going to sleep with all these girls, and his mom was loving it. They're like, wait a minute, there's time out here. It doesn't work out that way. You call yourself that, you live another life. Anyway, pray for the guy. Donnie's his name. 1973, smart dude. 1973, kind of smart dude. During the ongoing Watergate investigation, U.S. President Richard Nixon ordered Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox fired. 1968, former First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy married Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis. 1964, Herbert Hoover died in New York City. Yes, died in New York City, age of 90. 1931, American baseball player Mickey Mantle, the Mick, who was one of the game's greatest players, was born. 1882, actor Bela Lugosi was famous for a sinister portrayal of the vampire Count Dracula, was born in Hungary. 1822, the Congress of Verona opened in Verona, Italy. 1803, the United States Senate, with due consideration and considerable oratory, ratified the Louisiana Purchase. A lot of people were ticked off with that. Why? Jefferson wanted to get it to double his size because it's easy money, and France needed the money, and he thought it was a great idea. It was also unconstitutional. So because he did that, because he was a hypocrite, because he preached on the Constitution, he couldn't violate, but the thing was too good of a deal to pass up. So he bought it and spurred a secession movement. Where? In the Northeast. The Northeastern states wanted to break away from the Union because of Jefferson violating the U.S. Constitution. What did Jefferson do? Jefferson took the military and went to go blow them up. No, I'm sorry. He look it up. Look up the 1803 secession movement in the Northeast. Know what Jefferson said? He goes, if they want to go away, they can go away. We'll still trade with them. By the way, it was also in Charles Colombo's book, Pilgrim's Empire, Puritan's Empire. He mentions an event that happened in New Orleans when the flag went down, and the flag of France went down and the flag of the United States went up. He writes in it that the Cajuns cried. 1740, the Holy Roman Emperor Charles VI died. 1600, the Battle of Sekigahara established the hegemony of the Tokugawa family in Japan. Did I already tell the joke about what's a sad strawberry, a blueberry? Okay, you got that. Anyways, why did the banana go to the hospital? He wasn't peeling well. Anyway, have a great rest of the night. Thank you for showing up. See you tomorrow for what do we call Tuesday? I keep forgetting about that. Told you so Tuesday. That's right. Hit like, subscribe, all that jazz underneath the show notes. Maybe tomorrow won't be a cyber attack. I don't know. We'll find out. See if your Venmo app is working later. SensusFidelium.tv. Check that out. iCatholic Mobile. I don't think they were hacked. I don't think the cyber attack. Check them out. Remember to go there to get your own cell phone. And have a great night. See you tomorrow.